So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is finally out in theaters and IMAX this week, as this is meant to be the final chapter of the Guardians as we know it. So if you want to see if you should check out this final chapter on the big screen, but also on the big square, well, let's get into it. Hello friends and welcome back to the Brockopp side, a place to live, talk, and buy movies, and I got the opportunity to check out Guardians Volume 3 last night, thanks to attending the cool Guardians of the Galaxy IMAX marathon last night. Showed all three movies on the big square, which was really cool. Got a nice poster and this neat little lanyard so people know how cool I am and stuff. There is a good chance if you guys are watching this video, you may have already checked out the movie yourself, so go ahead and comment down below your thoughts on Guardians Volume 3. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Did you check it out in IMAX? But please, no spoilers. This is going to be a spoiler-free review. But anyway, let's start talking about the movie. And on the surface level, it was just really satisfying to finally see this movie come out after so many years of controversy, with James Gunn getting fired, and then everybody campaigning for him to come back, and then he switched over to DC for a while, directed the Suicide Squad and the Peacemaker TV show, and now he's going to be the CEO of DC, and he's directing Superman Legacy, while on top of all of that, he got to come back to Marvel to finish Guardians of the Galaxy with Volume 3, and boy am I glad that he did, because he was firing on all cylinders with this final chapter, delivering more striking visuals, great humor, and probably some of the biggest emotional hits of the entire trilogy. A lot of that comes from Rocket this time around, because he is basically the center of the entire movie. You know, we finally get to peel back the curtain and see more of his backstory, being tortured and experimented on by the High Evolutionary, which made me honestly choke up several times. That's one thing that's going to make this movie a bit of a hard watch for some people, because of the way it deals with themes of animal cruelty, so do keep that in mind. Everybody on the team, though, does get their chance to shine, as their arcs throughout these three movies and the MCU as a whole just culminate in this movie, and just makes you realize how much you truly care about each and every one of them. Now, the banter between certain Guardians I felt was starting to wear just a little bit thin in this movie, especially when everyone's just constantly getting in the shouting matches with each other. Plus, we get the Awesome Mix Volume 3 in this film, but I do feel like at times it felt just a little bit forced and was kind of there for the sake of, well, it's a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, so of course we gotta have the awesome mix. Not every single time though, so don't get me wrong there. When it hits, it absolutely hits. But now that we got all of that out of the way, I didn't just watch the movie, I watched the movie on the big square. Hashtag the big square. I called it the big rectangle last time and you guys got a little mad at me over that, so it's now the big square. How'd the movie look on said big square? Well, let's talk about that next. Gosh darn it. Getting into tech specs, the movie was shot on multiple cameras, including the Red Monstro IMAX, so cameras primed for the format. Speaking of which, the one big thing I do need to address here is that the aspect ratio does not change whatsoever throughout this entire movie. Because the entire movie is in the 1:90 aspect ratio, filling the entire IMAX screen for the entire 2.5 hour runtime. Now, James Gunn did say he made sure that this movie was properly optimized for each major format it would come out in: IMAX, Dolby, 40X, Cinemark XD, so whichever one you do end up going with, it should look fantastic and properly optimized for each one. But we're not talking about each one, we're talking about this one. But that fact there, I think, arguably makes this the best use of IMAX in the entire MCU. The visuals in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies have always been some of the best of the entire MCU as a whole, and this one is definitely no exception. The immersive sets of nowhere and the sweeping outer space shots that feel like you're watching an immersive space documentary in a museum or something look absolutely fantastic, but just getting to see the characters, you know, going aboard spaceships and fighting bad guys in a screen, you know, just this freaking big, just makes the entire movie feel larger than life. One of my favorite IMAX moments was when they're all in these colorful suits, which is a reference to 2001, where they're all just bouncing around the surface of this weird organic planet, really cool, vibrant moments like that really pop. The sound design also delivers phenomenally. I know I did say the awesome mix did feel a little forced in a couple moments, but the rest of it was so perfectly utilized, especially at the end of the movie. No spoilers, but it does give you that bittersweet feeling, which the IMAX does help provide a little bit. And this is also the first MCU movie where a character says fuck. So the IMAX speakers will help with that. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Star-Lord says fuck. My only issue with the IMAX is it feels like certain brighter scenes, like this organic planet with a lot of white surfaces, it felt like the whites on those were a bit blown out, and I'm not sure if that was a stylistic choice or maybe something wrong with the projector, so take that with a grain of salt. Overall, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 delivers a satisfying finale that'll hit you right in the feels unless you don't have a soul. As for the IMAX, I would say that yes. Just yes. It is just so rare when a big movie like this feels like it was actually meant to be seen in IMAX. It was properly formatted for it, and it takes true advantage of the format, and it wasn't just thrown onto the big square for the sake of getting a couple more dollars out of people. So for the movie itself, I'm gonna give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 a gold unboxing machete, and for the IMAX, I'm going to also give that a gold unboxing machete. So this is the second movie in Phase 5 of the MCU. If you want to see how the first movie in Phase 5 looked at IMAX, I got just the video right here. Otherwise, subscribe if you live talking by movies, and we'll see you on the Brockopp side.